We want to get you breaking news right now. Matt Gaetz, once again, of course, the Florida Republican driving the effort to blow out Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House, is once again speaking onto the floor of Congress here. I do want to just let you know, because we're trying to keep you updated as the market falls, that breaking news, Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie just said to the packed chamber that under Kevin McCarthy, the chamber has never been run better, more conservatively and transparently. He is obviously supporting Kevin McCarthy. We are watching this debate play out, and after, there will be a vote as to whether to oust Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, only the third time in U.S. history that such a vote has taken place. We'll be following it. In the meantime, we need to show you Meta shares right now. Reports are swirling that the tech giant could start charging users for Instagram and Facebook. So shares are falling about 2% on that. And before you freak out, if you're an Instagram user, it would only be for European users who don't agree to let Meta use their digital activity for targeted ads. A cost has not been fully worked out yet, but it reportedly looks like it could cost anywhere from $10.50 to $17. Is that a month? That's a lot. No, it can't be a month. Meta plans to roll out the plan called SNA, or subscription no ads, in coming months. But one of the reasons why Satori Fund manager Dan Niles is picking Meta in the short term is its ad placement and its exposure to AI. Dan Niles is here in a First on Fox Business interview. Dan, to clarify here, you'd be okay with this, right? And you like the stock?
Yeah, I like the stock because you're getting good, solid growth for a reasonable valuation, just a couple of points above the S&P 500 multiple. And, you know, this all comes about because the EU fined Meta about $1.3 billion back in May for sending user information outside the EU to the US. So, you know, it's funny, like, people think that you should be able to get a service for free and not pay for it. And obviously, Meta is a business. They sell ads to support your getting it for free. So I'm sure that there's going to be some middle ground that's struck here. So I'm not that concerned about it. And they're using AI very well, as you said, Liz, to place ads properly and also to recommend videos to you. So I think they're in pretty good shape.
Yes, and it would be $10 to $14 a month, but we shall see. It's not coming to the U.S., at least right now, although it feels like one of those fishing expeditions to sea, like a trial balloon in a way, Dan?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know how this goes. It's a negotiation process back and forth, and we'll see where it ends up. And this is going to take some time before, you know, we get to a resolution on it. So it's not something that's concerning me right now. Right now, what's concerning me more is things like the U.S. dollar going up a lot, and the fact that, you know, Meta has a fair bit of their revenues, 57% outside the U.S. Things like that, earnings. That's what I'm more focused on in the near term than this.
Well, let's talk about AI, because you're focused on short-term picks that appear to be either pure play or very close to pure play. C3 AI, which nabbed the AI ticker symbol, is one of them. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's not mine.
My fault. Your short-term picks, including Meta, have an AI angle, but you don't like some of the ones that are pure play.
Well, I think the way to think about it is every company says AI 50 times on their call, and there's only a few of them that are actually benefiting. So NVIDIA is the name that we like the best because unlike many of the others, you know, Microsoft's a great example. They say, you know, they obviously are 49% owner of OpenAI, which produced ChatGPT, but they guided below the street slightly for their intelligent cloud division when they reported their June quarter. So we'll have to see what they do in September. NVIDIA, meanwhile, has had numbers go up a ton, both after they reported their April quarter and their July quarter. And so, you know, that's our leader in that space. You mentioned Meta, which we like. We like Google as well. They have, you know, I think a very good lead in AI. They have over 9 different services with over 1 billion users each. So that's a lot of data they can use to feed their AI engine. And we bought Oracle recently after we saw their Oracle cloud event a couple of weeks ago. And there you're buying it at a 19 multiple. We think they're a credible number 4 in the cloud. So if you want tech names, AI related, those are the ones that we like.
You know, there are obviously A bunch of companies in the S&P 500, not entirely 500 companies, believe it or not. But, when you look at the Magnificent Seven, which drove those gains for the first half of the year and much of last year, they don't look so good for September in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the way you need to think about it is the Magnificent Seven, they're up over 85% year to date. You look at an equal weighted S&P, it's down 2% year to date. And that's reflected in the Russell that's down 2%. And out of that Magnificent Seven, one of the things you have to think about is that right now the average is 53% of their revenues is outside of the United States. Now that's led by names like Apple that have 57% of their revenues outside the US. And don't forget, the dollar has gone from 100 to 107 since mid-July. So that's a 7% headwind to all of these companies' top lines, and that typically has an even greater impact on the bottom line. So it's not going to be what they report, it's going to be what they guide to, with the dollar being a massive headwind now, not to mention if you have to deal with transportation costs, et cetera, for a name like Amazon, obviously. Sure. There's other things, but there's a lot of things that have changed since these companies have all guided in mid-July.
Yeah, and again, with the U.S. dollar more than a 10-month high, just a powerhouse at the moment. Dan, Satori Funds beating the S&P last year, beating it again this year. Please come back. We really enjoy your perspective. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Liz. Take care.